This is the Morning Tailgate.
Deuce! Goodbye! Into the end zone! 60 yards! Touchdown Raiders!
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker.
It's the trifecta for Bowers! His third touchdown of the game! And the Raiders with a chance to win it!
On Raider Nation Radio 920.
Fire up the cue! Grab a beverage or two and settle in this is the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the silver and black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, coming to you live from Las Vegas here on a Tuesday, the final day of June, I do believe. Next month, Raiders training camp. Connor back with us on the ones and twos, and Connor was busy because we got a big show for you that I expect quite a bit of reaction. Our own Vinny Bonsignor with the deep tease, as they say in the biz, provided an idea that has now turned into homework and has now fleshed itself out to hopefully what is a fun conversation this morning. We have the Summer of Fun trip, Raider Nation Radio here all week long. All summer long. This week's trip is to South Dakota. We're going to give you the keyword of the day. Coming up in hour number 3 for your chance to win a trip to South Dakota, home of Mount Rushmore. And that sparked the thought of, all right, well, who's your Mount Rushmores? But, you know, there's a lot of different mounts that we can do. And based on the conversation we were having yesterday with Fernando Mendoza being mentored by Tom Brady, the question we are asking today, in a big way, is we want to hear your Mount Rushmore of all-time number one overall picks in any sport. Across leagues, the only caveat is they are the number one overall pick in their draft. Doesn't matter sport, doesn't matter era or era, depending on your preference. So welcome in, everybody. We've done our homework. Connor says he did his homework in a big way. Looking forward to that. I know Vinny did his homework as well. Vinny, good morning. I've been excited for this conversation all day yesterday into my slumber and awoken today.
Yeah, and as we should be, as you mentioned, as you set up, this crosses all sports, and it's exclusive to athletes who were the number one pick in their particular draft. And just to give you a little bit of taste of, some of the names that we're talking about here, Vince, David Robertson, Terry Bradshaw, Shaquille O'Neal was the first pick of his draft. Darryl Strawberry back in late 70s. Magic Johnson was the first pick overall. Tim Duncan, we can go on and on. Just think about that. Peyton Manning was the first pick overall in his draft. So we always think about the busts, right? I mean, that's kind of sometimes, it's so easy to talk about that, which there's definitely been busts, and we can talk about that as well, the Mount Rushmore of that. But there's also some pretty darn illustrious athletes who were and did have the designation and honor of being the first pick of their particular drafts and their specific drafts, and it's going to be pretty tough trying to figure out who the top 4 is. And we went with 4 plus 1, so it's actually 5. We're going to do our all-time 5 greatest, the 4 on the Mount Rushmore and the plus 1, the guest, so to speak. So it's going to be a fun show. Now,
I'm guessing there's going to be a crossover too between our picks, and that's fine. That's obviously, we're not going to just change to change.
We're
going
to trade notes.
No, that was a big part. We weren't going to tell each other who we were.
We have our draft rooms, right?
We have our war rooms. Yeah.
Yes, we can trade if you want. We can do some trades.
That's interesting, because I do have a couple guys below my 5 that if I feel are strong enough, and if there's a trade present, I'm ready to wheel and deal. So I'll let that be. I'll put that on the table.
There's definitely a second starting 5. I mean, there's some people that are being left off my list that I'm like, blasphemy.
Yeah, it's tough. This isn't necessarily making a lot of fans, because there's going to be sects of the fans that are just like, What do you mean he's not on your Mount Rushmore? So things of that nature. So it'll be fun. 702-365-9200. Start hitting us up on the text line with your Mount Rushmores of number one overall picks across eras, across sports. Who are your 4 best plus 1? Because we understand Mount Rushmore is 4, but we are adding a 1. And the other caveat to it is, if you can store this in your brain as well, we're ranking them as well. We are giving our order, so that is where we may get the same person on our Mount Rushmores, but it might be different order in terms of where you would place them.
So in other words, it would be there's the first pick overall that we've designated
yeah,
as our
bingo.
first pick overall among the first picks overall, and as I was going through it, I didn't go in with a set of standards or anything like that or criteria. I kind of sorted through it all, but as it turned out, there were 2 things that I really looked for: excellence over a long period of time, but also how big of an impact immediately did you make, to change the fortunes of your team. So it was a little bit of combination of longevity, of excellence, plus the instant impact. And in some cases, that instant part was the differentiator between guys that made it and women as well, and the ones who didn't of the top 5 list.
All right, so 702-365-9200 is the number. Jesse Merrick, Silver and Black Sports Network, will be joining us in hour number 2, as well as a absolutely jam-packed hour number 3. Ryan McFadden is back with us from ESPN. He'll join us at the top of hour number 3, and then Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports, joins us at about 9:25-ish. So a lot to get to here on the morning tailgate, a lot of conversation, but again, the biggest part is we want to hear from you. You could react to ours, you could give us yours. Let's have some fun. 702-365-9200. And since, Vinny Bonsignor, you were the architect, the brain behind this beautiful idea, you have the floor, my friend.
Do we want to do all 5, or do we want to start with our 5ths?
Connor, this is a good question because Connor says he's going to sprinkle his picks throughout the show. Is that correct, Connor?
Kind of. As the producer, I figured I'd use my element aspect, add some audio in. So as we come in and out of breaks, I'll throw a few of mine in there. But I'm ready to talk about anyone whenever.
So do you want to start with 5? Do you want to start with 1? Because
No. I think we work our way up.
Okay. We might be up against it on time. I'm just going to say that now. But here we go. Start with your 5, Vinny.
My 5th is Magic Johnson, and this was back in 1979. He was, I want to say, 19 years old when he got picked. This was a different time, but even what he did for that time was very unusual. He left after his sophomore year at Michigan State, so he was still in his teens when he was drafted. He was 20 years old. His rookie year, this was 1979, first pick overall, and of his accolades, obviously he's in the Hall of Fame. He's a 3-time MVP, 5-time NBA champion, and a 12-time All-Star. We do remember that his career was actually cut short because of HIV at the time, and he was in his kind of early 30s when that happened. So there was more to come, and literally they were coming off a year in the finals when that very next year, which a team that a lot of people thought was stronger than the one that made the finals against the Chicago Bulls his final year, was even stronger than that season. So there was and Jerry West was still in charge, so there was every reason to believe that he was going to continue to have success. Unfortunately, that happened, and he had to retire prematurely. But the reason that Magic is on this list for me is the instant impact of it. He leads Michigan State to the national championship, which Michigan State had never really done anything, prior to that, and they made the Sweet 16 his rookie year or freshman year. They win the national championship his second year, beating Larry Bird, by the way, and then bang, he goes and wins the NBA Finals with the Lakers his rookie year, including 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists in the deciding game without Kareem in the lineup because Kareem had gotten hurt in Game 5 back in Los Angeles. So they won, I want to say it was 3 championships in his first 4 years in the NBA. So it was just, and everyone said, well, that was the Lakers. Yeah, but the Lakers hadn't won anything for basically about 10 years. They hadn't been to the finals. They were a playoff team, but they weren't going anywhere. They weren't winning championships before he got there. They lucked into getting that first pick overall, and it was just instantaneous winning. Changed the entire scene in Los Angeles, changed the entire aura and trajectory of the Lakers. They've never been the same since then. They've always been, they took over Los Angeles. They became LA and Southern California's team. So you talk about somebody that right off the bat had an instant impact as the first pick in his draft, Magic Johnson, and he's number 5 for me.
It's really good. I will say he is on my list, not number 5.
Yeah, it was tough because I could have made a case for him anywhere from 1 to 5, but I wanted to be fair, I guess is how I would say it.
And I'm glad you were. That's again super solid. It's going to be sad though when your Mount Rushmore is built, and then there's just going to be a little baby hill that's just Magic over to the side waiting for his turn to get into the Mount Rushmore. So he's not going to like that. I'm going to let him know just so you know, and just be prepared for his wrath. That's all I'm saying.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay, my number 5. Yesterday I put a lot of thought into this because I really, maybe it's my OCD, but I really wanted one of every single sport represented, but I knew that wasn't quite that wasn't the true spirit of the conversation. It was true number 1 overall picks, who are the best, ranking them. So I tried my damnedest to get baseball in that 4. Couldn't. So number 5, I got Chipper Jones, which I know is going to cause already a little bit of drama because my one baseball guy is not Ken Griffey Jr.
What about Alex Rodriguez?
Okay.
And I know that he had some, he was pretty good too.
Vinny, we could do this all day. This is what I landed on.
No,
Trust me,
know.
I had a lot of internal battle. Trust me, I had a lot of battles. But here's why I went Chipper Jones. To me, longevity is a big deal. He went 19 seasons. Mm-hmm. He was not, again, the Atlanta Braves were a juggernaut. I'm not saying they weren't. But this is not the famed this isn't a Yankees for the Alec Rodriguez example. This is kind of my differentiator, if you will. Chipper Jones, 19 years in the majors from 93 to 2012, inducted in the Hall of Fame, obviously, in 2018. World Series champion, NL MVP, had a batting championship in 2008. You talk about that longevity. Winning the MVP award in the NL in 99. Still winning a batting championship in 2008. Silver Slugger Award winner. 8-time All-Star. Player's Choice Award for Player of the Year in 2012. Accolades sprinkled throughout his long, illustrious career, right? Like, it didn't happen at the forefront. It didn't happen at the back end. He was a major part of the World Series championship for Atlanta. Chipper Jones is my number 5 in terms of number 1 overall picks. Guys living up to not only the expectations, but, in my opinion, exceeding them with the longevity, with the accolades that he was able to muster up.
Just out of curiosity, and because I struggled with this question too, if the PEDs weren't involved, is Alex Rodriguez on your list?
Probably.
Or it's
a question mark. It's an absolute question mark. But again, for me, the differentiator wasn't even the PEDs. To be honest with you, it was something I took into obviously consideration. But for me, I just looked at the team, and I know Atlanta, when they won, they were obviously stacked. That's all good teams typically are when they win.
Yeah,
but there was something about, for me, the fact that it wasn't a Yankee, it wasn't a Dodger, it wasn't, you know what I mean, kind of these true, as we know them now, blue blood type major league teams of the haves and the have-nots. And maybe it's just because of age of when I was. This is what I saw, and Chipper was just like a monster, and he was so viewed upon, almost reverently, by not just his teammates, but those in the league as well. So, again, in terms of the number one overall picks, I also struggle with Bryce Harper, to be completely frank, because I would argue no young baseball player that was taken number one overall had more expectations or more put on his shoulders than a Bryce Harper, who, again, is still writing his story. And so I really struggled with not putting Bryce Harper already on my Mount Rushmore, two-time MVP, and a guy that has done a lot despite not winning the big one.
Yeah, and he has won one. He was on a World Series team.
Right. I was talking USA Baseball. I was thinking of his this last season, winning the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah. For me, he would be, and I love Bryce Harper, local kid, obviously from Las Vegas, but he would have been further down. If you're talking about baseball players, for me, it's like Ken Griffey Jr. You're too young, probably, but there was a lot of pressure on him as well. I mean, he was the next big thing, kind of like we talked yesterday about the Tiger Woods. So this is before, obviously, social media, and things have obviously changed. But he was so coming out of high school. I think it was Moeller High School in Cincinnati, where his dad had played and he grew up. Here's Ken Griffey. He's a can't miss, literally like Bryce, a can't miss prospect. And you look at the longevity for Ken, and so for me, I love Bryce Harper. But this tells you how great this list is. Is that for me, he probably wouldn't even be in the top 10 for me for top picks,
right? So
overall.
But that's what I was saying. He was a thought, just because for me, sure, growing up, I remember seeing nothing but Bryce Harper stuff as a kid, Sports Illustrated, all that stuff. The reason why Chipper Jones won over Ken Griffey Jr., and again, this is my personal how I view it, he didn't win the big one, is what I was kind of alluding to. He didn't win that one. 22 seasons, if I remember. He was on the cover of the baseball game. I had that baseball game. Everybody did. So it was a real struggle coming up with this list, but that's what I landed. I got to stick to it. I can't waffle this morning.
And I'm going to say this about Ken Griffey Jr. real quick. I give him a lot of credit because every big team out there wanted him when he was a free agent, and when he did become a free agent, he went home to Cincinnati, which to me always at the time that was story at the time where teams like, since it was going to be a struggle for market teams like Cincinnati and Pittsburgh to win big, and he's like, no, that means more to me than obviously the Yankees wanted him, obviously the Braves wanted him, and at that time the Braves were a juggernaut and always in consideration. So I do wonder that too, had he gone someplace like New York after, because Seattle wasn't, that's a tough place to win the big one. It just is, right? The market size. So he went from one mid-market to another, and gave up opportunities to win championships. That certainly is a case of somebody who didn't go ring chasing, who didn't say, look, I am obviously good enough to win a World Series, but I'm in a market that's kind of holding me back. Let's be honest about it. We're not trying to take any shots at Seattle, but it is what it is. It's much easier, let's face it, to win in New York or at that time Atlanta, based on what they had built down there, than Seattle or Cincinnati. So I always gave him credit for doing that, not being the ring chaser, even though I don't fault anyone for ever doing that as well.
Real quick, you confused me and you threw me into a tizzy. Bryce Harper has not won a World Series. He's reached the World Series once, fell short. Has not won it. No, Bryce Harper has not won.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Strasburg won, who we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, okay, that's right, because they won the World Series after he left.
Bingo.
And he played in a World Series with Philadelphia.
Bingo.
Right? Okay,
bingo.
Gotcha.
Connor, number 5.
Yeah, I mean, so for me it was a little bit harder. When I got to number 5, I was kind of picking between two. I had one guy to me that made logical sense. This is my 5th that got left out, and then I had another one who, for me personally, made a lot more sense. Now, granted, the way I made this list, I tried to do it respectively, one for each of the big four, right? You know, try to find one in each category. It was really hard to complete the MLB. Just to tease for my personal one, I did lean on the side of Ken Griffey Jr. But you know, as far as number 5 goes, there was a couple different guys. I looked at the first one I'm going to do.
With the first pick in the 1992 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic selects Shaquille O'Neal from Louisiana State University.
Yeah, 4-time NBA champion. This guy won the NBA MVP in 2000. And then you just talk about being one of the most physically dominant players of all time. There was a reason why he was called Big Diesel. I mean, he was on the court and nobody wanted anything to do with him. He was moving guys around down low. Yes, he was not a shooter like we see in today's game of the centers, how they can shoot from beyond the arc, but he didn't need to. He was dominant in every other aspect. And to me, I think that was a huge part of his game, being able to be a physical presence that, to be fair, he came into the league with a lot of expectations on him already. A lot of people understood this was going to be a big man, a big guy who was going to play to his strengths, and then he just kind of took that to the next level. Now, that was going to be my logical person. For me, the more emotional choice, and he doesn't rank anywhere near the top, but it's Andrew Luck coming out of Stanford, and that was because growing up in the Bay Area, a guy like me, there wasn't a lot of college football in the kind of 2010s era. Cal wasn't very good anymore. San Jose State wasn't very good. But when Stanford was having a successful program and you got to see Andrew Luck leading the charge, he was the model of excellence. I mean, what he did and the way he took the standard of leadership and just the excitement that he brought to a local city, a local community for football that hadn't been there in quite a long time. So emotionally, I do want to put Andrew Luck on that hill. He's probably down there at the very bottom of the hill with Magic. He's not climbing up it quite yet, right? But I respect personally a lot what Andrew Luck did. And to be fair, we'll never quite know how his story was going to end. I think that this was a guy who retired too early and, you know, granted for his own personal reasons, but I do think that his story could have been a lot different depending on how things were written out.
So you went.
So is he on?
No,
so
that was his emotional pick.
That was my emotional pick.
His true pick was
Shaquille O'Neal. Yes.
The Shaqtus.
Okay. All right. Hard to argue against
the
Shaq.
Shaqtus. What? I mean, you could do a Mount Rushmore of just his nicknames.
You could.
You can do that. Okay, so Vinny Bonsignore's 5 is Magic Johnson. My 5 is Chipper Jones. Connor, number 5, the Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal. Our Mount Rushmores of number 1 overall picks will continue. Texts are starting to fly in. We're going to get to some of your texts, your reaction. If you want to give us a call, react to our picks thus far, your picks. We want to hear from you, 702-365-9200. But first.
Hey, guys, since 1942, Sal's Mexican restaurants have been serving the best Mexican food in California's Central Valley, from the award-winning salsas to all their classics like chili carne and chili verde. They've been go-to restaurants for multiple generations. And here's the thing. You don't even have to be in California or the Central Valley to enjoy this great food. You go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com. That's salsmexicanrestaurant.com. And they will hook you up. You go online, you put your order in. Whatever you order, wherever you are, it'll get to you. And your next party, your next family get-together, or your next tailgate gets completely set up. If you are in the Central Valley, if you live there or you're passing through, make sure to stop by their locations in Selma, Fresno, or Madera. And when you do, ask for Sal, Carl, or any of their managers, and please let them know that the Morning Tailgate and Raider Nation Radio sent you. Or again, just go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
With the first selection in the first round of the 2010 first-year player draft, the Washington Nationals select Bryce Harper. Thank you. I didn't think it was that much of a surprise. But,
worst kept secret in that draft? Bryce Harper going number 1 overall. Welcome back inside the Morning Tailgate. Raider Nation Radio 920. We're doing our Mount Rushmore plus ones of number one overall picks across sports, across eras. And I'm telling you, Bryce Harper's not there, obviously. And it's a big if. But if he finds that World Series ring at some point before he's done, he, to me, is going to be in that conversation with Chipper and Griffey Jr. in terms of number one overall picks. And we talk about it, and we talk about living up to expectations. Again, his book is still being written, so we'll see what comes of it, right? But man, he's just one of those guys that I had to. Again, I grew up hearing nothing but Bryce Harper, and that was the other thing we were fleshing out during the break, Vinny, Connor, and I, about why Chipper for me over Ken Griffey Jr. Because the amount of pressure Ken Griffey Jr. must have had with his dad, and with everything coming in to the majors, right? Like I had his video game, so I saw Chipper on TBS or whatever it was called when I was a kid. What was it called? WGN? Is that whatever it was? I got all the Atlanta Braves games, so I would see Chipper.
WTBS.
There it is. So I would see Chipper all the time, and so maybe that's just in the seed planted in my mind. But either way, that's my 5. Vinny Bonsignore, Magic Johnson as his 5, his +1. Chipper Jones is my +1. Connor, his +1 was Shaquille O'Neal, number one overall picks. We're on the mountain. We are going to the mountain. Who are you etching in as number 4, Vinny?
Man, by the way, Ken Griffey Jr., 630 home runs. 83.8 WAR. I was just looking at Bryce's 56.2 on the WAR and 383 home runs, and so you forget how good Ken Griffey. Honestly, and because like you said, he didn't win a World Series, right? So
to me, that's just it's a big. When we're talking Mount Rushmore's number one overall picks, you want to deliver. And that ultimately, that is what swayed me to Chipper over Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, it's crazy because baseball is that ultimate team game when you think about it. I mean, everything has to go right for a World Series, and if you're not in the right, you know what I'm saying? Like, and Bryce is, kind of not, I wouldn't say a victim of that as well, but the Washington Nationals, and he's been knocking on the door with the Philadelphia Phillies, but it's tough to win the World Series. So, but from just a number standpoint, I still get blown away when I look at King. 630 home runs, Vince, and there's never been any implications on his part, right?
Right.
Jeez. That is insane. So,
Chipper,
all right,
just so you know, Chipper does hold the edge in WAR on Ken Griffey Jr.
On career WAR, it's 83-point career for Ken
WAR.
Griffey.
Wins above replacement, 85.3 compared to 83.8.
What am I looking at here? I'd say for Bryce, I see it as 56.
Oh no, not Bryce. I'm talking Chipper versus Ken Griffey.
Oh, Chipper,
Jr.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I was
again. That was part of my equation as well. I'm telling you, Vinny,
Chipper was great.
You had me doing some summer school homework on a Monday in June. So
I can't argue with Chipper.
So good on you.
Yeah,
but
it was
go ahead.
Yes,
number 4.
Yeah. Number 4 for me is Peyton Manning, drafted in 1998 out of Tennessee, the University of Tennessee. Career span was 1998 through 2015. Among his, accomplishments, a 5-time MVP, a 2-time Super Bowl champion with 2 different teams, by the way, 14-time Pro Bowl, 7-time All-Pro, and obviously a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. If he hasn't already, has he gotten inducted yet? Has he been out of the league long enough? He's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
He is in the Hall of Fame. Okay, yeah. When did he go? What year did he go?
He should be. Did we just all imagine it?
We know that he is. I'll check it out. Hang on a second.
Yeah, first ballot. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, all right, there you go.
Boy, you had me nervous there for a second. I'm like,
I know.
How many years has he been out? How many years have I watched the Manning cast on Monday night?
Right. By the way, a Hall of Famer in that regard as
he's
well.
He's going to get a broadcast Hall of Fame or Lifetime Achievement Award when it's all said and done.
For sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
So number 4 for me was definitely Peyton Manning. I mean, again, you talk about the expectations. This was a guy that was a high school hero in Louisiana, his home home state of Louisiana. Goes to Tennessee, kind of against the grain from the Manning family. His father was a big star at Ole Miss. That's where his brother went to, but he said, nope, I'm going to do my own thing. He went to Tennessee, got them elevated. I don't think they won the national championship. I'd have to go double check, but they were in the mix when he was at Tennessee. First pick overall, and more than lived up to the hype. In fact, exceeded it, which is why he is the number 4 on my list, number 4 top overall pick of all time.
Peyton, it's a good mountain. That's a good start to your mountain. That is a good start. I don't have to go very long on this one, but Magic is my number 4. Okay. I thought he had to absolutely be on the top 4 because, one thing that I was trying to take into consideration for this was longevity. I know he only played 13 seasons, but his career was closer to 17, 18 seasons had it not been for the HIV being forced into retirement. The fact that he was able to come back and play, to me, is a part of the longevity. It shows a lot of things, resolve, all that stuff. But to me, that was actually part of it. So the fact that he had to take a break and then came back was something. 5 NBA titles, obviously, as you mentioned. 3 MVPs in the regular season, 3 finals MVPs, 12-time All-Star, 9-time NBA first team, 1-time NBA second team. Don't know what happened that season. That's a problem. But he was part of the rookie team, and in terms of statistical titles, assists leader, steals leader, among other things, Hall of Famer. He was part of the Dream Team. He was also a national champion at the college level. So when we talk about the expectations of carrying that over, Showtime, part of the greatest, maybe the greatest rivalry in NBA history.
For sure, NBA history, yes.
Right? So, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rivalries in sports history, I would argue. Right. And again, I wasn't even really alive to witness it, but no, you know what I mean? Like, as a sports historian, as I like to consider myself, one of the greatest. He changed the game. He changed the game. Showtime is still something that is talked about today. And I know this is not necessarily part of the equation, but it's also the ripple effects of it, the business acumen that he has being still part of franchises and the impact he continues to still have. I mean, in terms of number 1 overall picks, living up to expectations as an athlete and beyond, Magic for me had to be on the top 4, Magic Johnson.
Yeah. I'm going to add one more thing about Magic because people get fixated with points, but having lived that, with my own 2 eyes, he knew that he didn't need. He could have easily, Vince, and I'm not being, this isn't hyperbole. If he wanted to average 35 points a game, he could have easily. There was nobody that was defending him. He was a 6'9" point guard, right? He could shoot over point guards. He could take them down low. He could run the floor. All of those things. And there were times when maybe Kareem wasn't in the lineup or James Worthy, and they needed points and. In the blink of an eye, you look up and he's got over 40 points. He could have done that had he wanted to, but he always understood that's not going to equate to wins. I could be selfish like that and go for 35, 40 points a game, but that's not doing my team any good. This is how I need to play, and was the ultimate orchestrator for wins, getting guys involved, getting Kareem set up, getting James Worthy involved, Byron Scott, all of that. That's how he understood that, and that was all he was ever about, was winning. So if I know that it's easy to just look at the points, but understand that he could have easily averaged a whole bunch more points, but he understood that wasn't going to lead to winning.
There it is. So Chipper Jones, my 5. My 4, Magic Johnson. Connor, where are you going on your mountain with number 4?
Yeah, I won't say too much on it because we've kind of spoken about him already a little bit, but I'm going with Ken Griffey Jr. here. I do think that, again, we talked about how hard it was to get an MLB player, just first of all on the mountain, but second of all, I think that Ken Griffey, he's deserving of it. This is a guy, to me, he was iconic. His swing to this day is still iconic. You see highlights of it. You can hear moments of it. Honestly, anytime he cracked the ball, you knew that it was a Ken Griffey hit, or a Ken Griffey Jr. hit, excuse me. But then
he was also a great defender, by the way.
Yes, and then I was going to get into it, right? You talk about some of the accolades. This was a 10-time Gold Glove winner. He had a 13-time All-Star. He won the MVP back in 1997, and he was almost the first unanimous Hall of Famer, right? This was a guy, I think he was around 99%, just missed it, the unanimous MVP or Hall of Fame vote.
Crazy.
So Ken Griffey Jr. to me, this is a guy who, again, I in my list, I do have a little bit of a recency bias. I never personally got to watch Ken Griffey Jr. too much until the later half of his career, but this was a guy who my dad, who was a huge baseball fan, made sure that I was aware of, that I got to watch a lot of his highlights growing up, and again, an icon to me. He was the standard of excellence, like we mentioned earlier. This is somebody to me who I think, as a MLB player, earned his spot on the Mount Rushmore.
There it is. All right. Connor's got Shaq Diesel, number 5, Ken Griffey Jr., 4. Vinny, Magic Johnson, 5, Peyton Manning, 4. I've got Chipper Jones, 5, Magic Johnson, 4. 702-365-9200. We'll get to your thoughts. We're going to get to our number 3s on the Mount Rushmore. Coming up next here on the Morning Tailgate, Jesse Merrick set to join us at the top of the hour. Silver and Black Sports Network. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR920AM. Let's dig in to the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
First pick in the draft, the Indianapolis Colts select quarterback, University of Tennessee, Peyton Manning.
Nothing welcomes a young kid into the league like a smattering of booze in the biggest moment of your life. Welcome back inside the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Paul Tagliabue, NFL Commissioner, with the call for Peyton Manning, number 1 overall pick.
2 things. That was in New York, so that was always a staple of the draft, were the booze. But also, for those of our younger audience, and that probably includes you, Vince, as well, back in 1990, right? That was 1990. I want to, or whatever year that was.
1998.
1999 was the selection. There was actually a debate on Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf from Washington State, so it was a genuine, at the time, discussion on who should be the number 1 pick overall. Ryan Leaf had a fabulous career at Washington State. Obviously, Peyton Manning did his thing at Tennessee. Ryan Leaf had the stronger arm. He was the bigger dude. I know that Peyton's pretty tall, but Ryan Leaf was a mountain of a dude. And so there were a lot of people that actually thought Ryan Leaf was the superior prospect, and that's I think why some of those boos actually occurred.
Yeah, I can't say I necessarily remember it in the moment, but I do understand how it was such a big conflict. Okay, continuing the Mount Rushmore, because we are closing out our number 1 with our number 3s. Vinny, you went Magic 5, Peyton 4. Who is number 3 on your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, I went, believe it or not, with a hockey player, Alex Ovechkin, right?
Wow.
Yes.
Look at you. I'm beaming with pride right now. I just want you to know how happy I am. Go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. And I want to say he was a teenager, right? He had to have been a teenager at the time of that draft back in 2004. Just one Stanley Cup champion, but I think it's the only one in Washington Capitals history. You can correct me on that. So it's not like he went to, the Montreal Canadiens or a blue blood. The Washington Capitals have never been much, right? They've always been around, but they haven't been one of the more successful teams. So just winning a Stanley Cup in Washington, D.C. Was quite the achievement and has been quite the achievement. 12-time All-Star, 8-time Richard Trophy winner. Is that what it's called?
Maurice Richard.
Richard, I knew that. I obviously knew that.
The Rocket Richard Trophy.
And I did. Which one is that? What's that? What is
most
that for?
Goals in a season.
So 8 times has led the league in scoring goals. 3-time Hart Trophy winner, which is, what does that signify? That's the MVP. Yep. The Calder Trophy.
Rookie of the Year.
Then the Ross Trophy.
Yes, the Art Ross Trophy for that is the exact vernacular of that trophy is scoring leader.
Scoring leader. Okay, so, and please correct me, you would know this better. Does he hold the record now for goals or points? One of those two, right?
Correct. He's the all-time NHL goal-scoring leader past Wayne Gretzky last season.
Which
2 seasons
insane.
ago.
Yeah. So there you have it. I mean, that he was somebody that even in my limited hockey knowledge, I was always aware of and was aware of when he got drafted, and there were extreme, expectations for him, and I think that he has more than lived up to those expectations and quite honestly exceeded them.
Well, I'm happy you got hockey on the mountain as your number 3, and you got him above Magic. To me, that's color me entertained here on the morning tailgate. Okay, my number 3 is Peyton Manning. When you talk about number 1 overall picks, you talk about living up to expectations or exceeding them. 5-time MVP, 2 Super Bowl champion, the only NFL starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl on 2 different teams. And to me, it's not just that he did that. He's a standalone record holder in that manner. But it's also the fact he did it after everybody, and I say everybody in quotes, but many doctors told him that he was not going to play again. And that the Colts did not think that. Obviously, they had Andrew Luck, to your point, Connor, being on your what your
he was my little emotional hill.
Yeah, your emotional hill. That's what we called it.
Captain Luck stood watch.
And yeah, with Andrew Luck, who was a generational, the next Peyton Manning, essentially in the fold. I'm not going to get into was it right, wrong, what the Colts did. They did what they did. Good on Denver for being able to, and John Elway for wooing him and swaying him to come to Denver, believing in him when. How many countless stories did we hear of teammates or even his brother Eli talk about like they went to go throw together, and he was just like, are you messing with me? His arm was so bad. It was truly a noodle arm. And even though, it wasn't peak Peyton Manning when they won that Super Bowl against the Carolina Panthers, he still is a 2-time Super Bowl champion and had the most prolific season in NFL history as a quarterback, setting all the records that he did. Peyton Manning, without question, on my Mount Rushmore and my number 3. Connor.
Yeah, no, I won't say too much because I'm right there with you. I also went Peyton Manning here. One of the big things I also like to mention with Peyton Manning, too, is the adversity, right? As being a number 1 overall pick, coming out and then throwing the all-time interception record in a single season. I'm sure that's something that, on your mental psyche, you have to be able to bounce back from that. For a lot of people, you go out there and do that in your first year at a pro, it's hard for you to bounce back. You take that personal and you say, is this who I am? Is this the game that I play? Peyton Manning didn't look at it like that. He got back to the drawing board, and that was another reason why I chose him. This was somebody who I think had the football smarts above all else. This, like you mentioned, when his arm started to fail him, the one thing that never did was his brain. He was always able to dissect the field. He was always able to tell you what the defense, what coverage they were in. He was always able to make sure that his offensive line was blocking who they needed to block. He was a true general manager on the football field, and that's something that is, by definition, the quarterback position. So I think that he did it at such a high standard. He did it at such a level of excellence. He had the expectations that he surpassed. That's the reason why I have Peyton Manning as my number 3 on Mount Rushmore.
And I saw this stat, Vinny. He has the most total wins of anybody, 200. That's crazy. Because I would not have guessed that.
What's and obviously Tom Brady wasn't the first pick overall; he was the anti-first pick.
Right.
But how many wins did Manning have? Or excuse me, did Tom have?
I have it somewhere here because I wrote it down and I can't remember.
I'll get it right here.
Unless I read my notes wrong. Anyways, regardless, Peyton Manning. Sorry, I got a lot of numbers right here, and I'm getting them all.
There was a lot of
Tom was
homework done last night.
Yeah, I'm getting all my
Tom
numbers.
was 251.
So I'm going to double-check what I just said. But it doesn't take it away.
I would say Tom only because he played longer. That's it.
5 NFL MVPs. Peyton Manning, number 1 overall pick,
crazy.
number 3. Hour number 2 is on the way. Jesse Merrick, Silver and Black Sports Network, is set to join us here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. We got giveaways to give. We have the Mount Rushmore to complete here on the Tailgate.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
There have been plenty of other coaches, but why not us? Why not this staff? Why not this group of players? I look at it as what a great challenge. We're going to be about the work.
He is back, baby! And the Raiders regain the lead!
With Fitz Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Flying through into hour number 2 here on the Morning Tailgate. It's Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the Silver and Black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor coming to you live from Las Vegas on the final day of June, a Tuesday. Where it's the last time we can say next month, Raiders training camp getting underway. Today, our conversation is the Mount Rushmores of number 1 overall picks in sports history. Across eras, across sports, we are ranking our own personal Mount Rushmores. Is Fernando Mendoza on that list already? How does he get on that list?
Oh. Easy there, Vince. Easy.
I didn't say he was. I asked. This is a question out to the ether. I don't know.
Easy there.
All we know is what have you done for me lately? And he's won national championship, been the first overall pick. That's what he's done for me lately.
And that's where it ends for now. For now. He's got a big, long book to write.
So 702-365-9200. But before we get to your thoughts, your texts, we got to bring in friend of the show, Silver and Black Sports Network's own Jesse Merrick. Jesse, award-winning sportscaster here in Las Vegas. Jesse, let's just start with the biggest question I could think of for you. How does Fernando Mendoza get on the Mount Rushmore of number 1 overall picks all time? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Vince out here trying to stir it up. He's already crowning the guy. What is it? You want to crown him? You can crown there. You know what? Yeah, look, for Mendoza to get up there, he's going to have a Peyton Manning-esque type of career. And I think, I was listening to you guys earlier kind of talking about Peyton and all that stuff. And, when you look at it, like Peyton threw 28 interceptions as a rookie, and a lot of people probably, I don't remember off the top of my head, like visibly watching those. I know I watched it, but I don't know what the chatter was. I'm sure a lot of people probably talking bust or wondering, what's going to happen and all those types of things, what his career is going to be. And then all of a sudden he turns into a Pro Bowl and takes him to the playoffs in year 2. So that I think just goes into the whole thing of take year 1 at every position, but particularly quarterback with a grain of salt. But man, for Fernando to be able to do something like that, yeah, obviously going to have to be a multi-time Pro Bowler and get the Raiders turned around in the right direction. I think that is something that obviously will be a massive part of his story. If he's able to restore this franchise, to what they were back in the day when they were one of the more feared organizations in football and in sports, if he could help lead that charge, that will elevate his status big time as a number 1 overall pick, as a quarterback, you name it. But, obviously, again, in order to be in that era, in that class of top number 1 overall picks, just in football, but overall, you got to win multiple championships. And, that's going to be something that obviously he's going to be judged by. And I'm just so fascinated to see what his career turns into. We've seen him turn a program around there at Indiana. Can he do the same in the NFL? And obviously we'll get some of those answers in the coming years here.
Well, you just opened up something that is kind of an itch of mine, basically, and that was, as you mentioned, Peyton Manning. It did not start great for Peyton Manning. He did set a record for interceptions. What would you say, 27 that year or whatever it was?
Yeah.
28. It was a lot. And it was a bad football team, and there were a lot of hard knocks that the organization took that first year, and Peyton took that first year. Big deal. It didn't break him, and that's my argument. He is one of my primary arguments for everyone needs this. I just feel like everyone is so scared. You can't break Fernando Mendoza. You can't put him out there. He's going to, oh, my gosh. There's example after example of players that Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning, Caleb Williams, if you want to go recently, Drake May, if you want to go recently, who did not have great rookie years, who did have bad moments, who were on bad teams, but they were unbreakable and were better off probably for it. Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning, I think Caleb Williams, and Drake May. So, can we stop being so scared about putting Fernando Mendoza out there? We can't do that.
Yeah.
And be open-minded about the fact that there's growth in all sorts of different ways, including some hard knocks.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, that's one of the things, and I think, too, even, and this was my perspective, even Ryan Hogue's perspective. I had him on the show, the last day of minicamp. The young guys got a lot of work, and I thought Fernando struggled. I thought he looked like a rookie. It was an up-and-down day. There were plenty of things where you could see that he was the number one overall pick and why he was that guy, but I thought the defense accelerated his footwork. He was a little off on some of his accuracy, things like that, whatever. And I don't think that was a big deal. I was like, God, that's what you want to see. Like, you want errors, especially early on in your career and especially your rookie year, so that you can go back in the lab and correct those things. And again, it goes back to having the right mental makeup as a person to be able to overcome those things. Obviously, Peyton Manning had it, and you can throw out every quarterback that's in the Hall of Fame that very likely struggled early on in their career and had to overcome those things. And it seems Fernando Mendoza has that, mind for the game as well, and that approach, in every way that he's kind of gone about it. So that's one of the things, again, of like why you have to love that the Raiders got him as their number one overall pick, because in terms of the mental makeup, there's no questions there. And so, yeah, there's going to be struggles 100%. I think the difference between 98 with Peyton Manning and now in 2026 with Fernando Mendoza, obviously social media has taken on a whole new world of just sports and commentary and everything like that. So it's much louder. And so I wonder how that factors into the psyche of these players. But again, we know Fernando Mendoza, deletes like all his social media, only has YouTube and LinkedIn, right? So how much of it is he actually going to see, throughout the year, especially with a coach like Clint Kubiak? So, yeah, I agree with you, Vin. Like, I honestly, I almost throw out the first year for a lot of players just because it's like, okay, if it was good, if it's bad, whatever. Because let's say it's insane, okay? Let's say Fernando beats out Kirk Cousins, goes out there, lights it up. Well, okay, guess what? The next year, the rest of the league has a book on you. What are you going to do to respond when they actually now are really game planning for you and what you bring to the table and all the things that you did well? That's why I think that year 2 and on is really where you figure out what these guys are going to be.
Justin Merrick join us here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Jesse, this one, I guess it's a question, but it's more of a conversation piece that I've been kind of battling and seeing online, and I just kind of want to flesh it out with you for a second. So, Tom Brady in the fold, everybody sits there and is like, what is the official title? The unofficial official title, Vinny, for Tom Brady?
The GOAT.
No. Football.
De facto football.
De facto football. Yeah. Whatever you want to call him, right? Like, whatever his de facto, official, unofficial, whatever. Last year, the biggest thing with TB12 was he needs to be there every day. He needs to be in the building every single day. He needs to be on the field. He needs to be doing all these things. And my question then was, yeah, that'd be nice. Obviously, that'd be super great. But he's got other things. But what are you doing with Geno Smith? Like, what is he doing with Geno Smith that is really just groundbreaking, right? To me, it was Tom Brady. In addition to everything he does, the biggest get was finding a franchise quarterback a la Fernando Mendoza, and that being really the part where he's helping. On the Stick to Football podcast that he did during the World Cup last week, he was asked the question, like, what are you doing with him? And he's like, I talk to him all the time. And, in today's world, I know it just feels like everyone's like, why isn't he out on the field with Fernando? Why isn't he there every single day? And for me, I don't need him on the field with Fernando. How many coaches do we have on the field with Fernando? The biggest thing Tom Brady talked about was the asking, like, What are you understanding? What are you not understanding? The psychology of it. Even though Tom wasn't a number 1 overall pick, he understands what it takes to be in the building, to take command of the huddle. I guess my question, if I'm asking you a question, is what is the realistic expectation of Tom Brady and his reach and his impact on Fernando this season?
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really interesting topic to dive into and everything too, because like I have been the guy last season that was like, where the hell is Tom Brady? Why is he not here every day? He should be more visible, all those things. And honestly, like, I think even just hearing you kind of talk it out has kind of changed my stance on it a bit too, because it's like, as you were talking, the thing that kept popping in my mind is like, if he is there every day, to your point, if there's all those coaches, at what point does he essentially become like a Jerry Jones type of guy where it's like, why is he meddling in everything? Let the coaches and players do their thing, you know? And so like, I think there is a bit of that where like, maybe we all don't need to, even though many of us do want to see him more visible, you know, with this franchise. But I mean, again, if he's there every day, if he's in meetings with him, watching film all the time, at what point are you kind of undermining the coach that you brought in and trusted to lead this franchise and have said that, like, hey, you're the next offensive whiz kid? So at what point are you undermining him with that, you know, and not letting him grow and do his own thing as a coach and also grow as a coach? But, you know, so yeah, I would say it's probably good that he's just at our arm's length. And again, a phone call, FaceTime away, whatever it is. And when he's here, Fernando can get that FaceTime with him too and ask those questions. And I think, again, like we'd all be crazy if we don't think that Fernando doesn't have a direct line to him to call him 24/7, 365 to ask every single question. You know, and I think it's probably better that way, that Fernando can formulate those questions himself rather than, you know, Tom sitting there in the room dictating, this is exactly how I did it all the time, whereas Fernando can be like, okay, this is how I do it. Here's a question I actually have that I could probably gain a lot of value from asking Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, how he went and did it and all those things, and pick his brain. And so I think maybe those check-ins, you know, are probably more valuable. I mean, for anybody out there, for you guys, like, think about any friends that you have, mentors you've had over the years and stuff, like those moments when you're able to connect with them, you know, and really talk shop and figure out what's worked, what hasn't, all those different things. I think that's more valuable than maybe if they are there 24/7, 365, and you're not able to learn and grow and build your own process, you know, make your own mistakes, things like that. So yeah, I think that is probably the smartest way to go about it. I mean, it's easy for us all to sit there and overreact and say, he needs to be there. And again, I'm guilty of that, but probably better that he's at arm's length, you know, and especially too during the season, I'm sure they will be talking after each and every game, and I'm sure Tom will offer his thoughts and comments. And then with him not being here every day, Fernando then is very likely able to kind of mesh what Tom is saying with what Kubiak is saying, and then his own evaluation of himself, and kind of meld the three of them together to kind of break things down. And I think that'll be really valuable for him, whether he is, again, here physically or, you know, remotely in a sense.
Well, I'm hoping when he calls him remotely, it's not just to ask him, what do you see standing over there on the sidelines? I would hope that there would be more there would be actual games for him to talk about.
But Gatorade?
but we'll get that Powerade or Gatorade over there, fruit punch or the green. But we'll get to that point. I do believe Tom Brady's going to. I'm just guessing here that he's going to be more available during training camp for to go talk to him after practice and things like that. Yeah. I think that would be beneficial.
You can't go to other practices, right?
Yeah, and because there's not the broadcasting end of it won't come into play. Yeah. Those first couple of weeks of training camp. All right, so you have the magic wand to tilt the field however you want, so that you have the clearest vantage point of whatever position group you want during training camp. We all know going to training camp, sometimes the thing that you really want to see is 2 football fields away, and so you can't get that perspective necessarily, the one that you wanted on that particular group. So if there is a magic wand out there, and I am giving it to Jesse Merrick, those first couple of days of camp, what do you want to be right in front of you, so you can really take a deep dive into that particular group?
Yeah, I love this question. That's hilarious because, again, for the fans out there listening, like, there are plenty of times when coaches intentionally put particular players miles away from us at the practice field.
Can I tell you guys a quick story?
Yeah,
real quick about that. I was at it was the last day. It was the second minicamp day for the Chargers, right? And the offensive line and defensive line were way over there, way across the field, right? So we're sitting there and we're just kind of watching who we're watching right in front of us. All of a sudden, this guy comes jogging over, and I'm looking at him. I go, "That's Jim Harbaugh." And he comes over to us. And he goes, "Hey guys, what are you standing over here for?" And we're like, "Well, you're in charge of that." He goes, "Come here, follow me." So he's like, "I'm going to take you where the real action is going." We're jogging with him, going all the way across the field. He goes, "It's the offensive lineman and defensive lineman. There's so many great things going on right now over there. I got to have you guys see this." And so he's like, "That's such my bad. Next time I'll remember that. I'll put the offensive line," because that's really where the action is. And look, when you go over there, listen to the guy in the straw hat. He was talking about his offensive line coach. Listen to that guy. If you want to learn about football, just listen to him. This is great. I can't wait for you guys to see this. And he's like geeked up about taking this entire media group over to the offensive lineman all the way across the field. It was really funny. But yes, it points out that sometimes we just don't have the vantage point that we would like.
Yeah, that's great. Josh McDaniels ain't doing that.
No.
That much.
No.
You know?
Man, everywhere we go, McDaniels catching strays.
I know, right?
Hey, you know? I mean, I would love to have had an experience like that.
We're like cutting through their practice, too. We're like dodging balls that are getting thrown around and stuff like that. It was the most hilarious thing. Typical
That's
Jim Harbaugh.
Awesome, yeah. I love that. But as you were asking the question, the first one that came to mind for me was just like the DBs, because I feel like they're always so far away, but I know we get to see them in one-on-one. So again, maybe that's a bad answer, but like as I was trying to think about it, I'm like, obviously we want to see the quarterbacks when they're going through Indy, but again, we see them in team, so I just feel like whenever they're in individual drills, from what I can remember over the years, it always seems like the DBs, more so the safeties and the corners, are so far away, and particularly this year. Again, if I could wave that magic wand, I'd be able to be like, if Clint Kubiak and company or Rob Leonard comes running over and does the Harbaugh and throws us right into the mix there with them. I'd want to be there with Joe Woods, hearing what he's saying about the DBs and everything like that, because the competition there is going to be so interesting, particularly at corner. Obviously, what happens with Jermod McCoy, Hezekiah Mathis, a guy that looked great in a helmet, shorts, in a jersey out there in the offseason. We'll see what he looks like when the pads come on. And then, obviously, how things happen with Darian Porter entering year 2, as we talked about the early discussion about, Fernando and Peyton Manning and guys, taking that leap and from year 1 to year 2. What kind of jump can Darian Porter take? Obviously, Eric Stokes, is he the guy that he showed last year? And is he going to really earn that contract? So that makeup there, just particularly in the corners, is so interesting to me. And then again, the safeties and the multiplicity they have in that group, I'd be fascinated to be able to get like an up close and personal look at those guys each and every week if we could hear the coaching and all those things constantly. But again, it just seems like each and every time we go out there, they seem so far away over the years. So hopefully that changes this year and we don't have to wave the magic wand for it.
All right, Jesse Merrick, Silver and Black Sports Network. We're going to end on this, Jesse. All right, we've been playing a game for the last few days with some of our guests. Now, I know you are an APU guy. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But before you got into the business, okay, so this is not being held against you in any way. Before you got into the business, who was your pro team or college team, regardless of sport? Like your team that you
the one that made
for.
you cry.
Yeah.
The one that made you cry.
Who was it?
Yeah. So you guys know, obviously, like I'm a football nut now, but when I was a kid, and this will be no surprise to Vin, growing up in Southern California, you live and die. Well, and both of you guys, actually, obviously, both being Southern California guys, you live and die by the Lakers, and that was such a crazy area. I was born in 1990, coming up in the Kobe era. That team, I have vivid memories of watching, the battles over the years with the Spurs. When we're out at restaurants and stuff, telling my mom, like, hey, if they don't have a TV and they don't have the game on, like, I don't want to go, like all those things. Like, so I lived and died by basketball, particularly the Lakers. I mean, like everybody, I was heartbroken when Kobe passed. When he retired, I remember crying, all those things. When he tore his Achilles, like all that stuff, like those are all very vivid memories for me. So that was my team, was the Lakers. But in football, and I mention this constantly on our podcast, I don't hide this one bit. I'm a Buccaneers fan. All my family's from Florida. Minnesota. So I've been a Bucs fan, most of my adult life. And never really since I kind of grabbed hold of football. And so it was crazy for me too here covering John Gruden and the Raiders and that was kind of a wild full circle moment for me. As a kid, again, sore subject, but watching the Buccaneers beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl with Gruden and everything like that. Then to me now covering the team when I moved here in 2020, that was a wild experience. So that was just really cool how kind of my fandom and the Raiders and Bucs, all that stuff, just the convoluted mess there that was intersected. That was a lot of fun. And it was also kind of funny too, a little inside baseball here too. And I still root for the Bucs. I'm able to maintain, objectivity though in covering the Raiders. But during 2020 when fans weren't allowed there, when the Bucs came out here with Tom Brady, I had all my buddies that are from like the Bucs fan group out here in Vegas texting me. They're like, "Are you up in the press box cheering? Like, we'll be able to hear you on the broadcast because there's no fans there." And all that stuff. I was like, "Yeah, no, we can't do that. We can't cheer up there." But that was a kind of a wild experience where I was like sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I wonder if I'm the only Bucs fan in the building right now. This is kind of crazy being able to watch that. So that was kind of a crazy experience.
All right, Vinny, tore him a new one in that game too.
Vinny, so we got to get creative then with this one because obviously Lakers, Bucks. So how do we do this?
Let's go Lakers. Go Lakers.
Well, that's what's going to hurt him the most, right? So we have to take that away from him. So
no, let's ask that question. You get one more or no more. Ask it.
Okay. So
no.
Okay. If I could guarantee you a Lakers championship this coming season, and I am putting you at the championship clinching game moment, everything, okay? Mm-hmm. But you don't get another one for the rest of your life. Do you take it?
And you know that.
And you know it. And
you are
aware.
knowingly making this trade.
Do you take that?
So you're saying the Lakers win it, I'm able to be there, all this stuff, and then they never win it again.
This season, and then they will not win it again in your lifetime.
Oh, hell no. Look, I'm not taking that for all the other Lakers fans out there, first of all, but also, too, I guess if I wasn't in the business, I might be a little more selfish. But I've been able to cover many different sporting events over the years, championships, Super Bowls, all those things. Haven't covered an NBA final series, I'll say that. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to do that to the rest of the folks in La La Land and take that away from them. That would be horrible. I would imagine fans, because look, there's a lot of intersection between Raiders fans and Lakers fans, and they would probably hate me if I did that. But even speaking honestly, no, I couldn't do that. I'll gladly watch from home and see them win multiple championships, rather than being there for one of them. I don't know that I could do that to the rest of my Lakers homies.
But you're not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed any championships.
That's fine.
Hey, that's fine.
Okay. Just making sure it was clear.
Figure it out. Yeah, I trust them to figure it out.
To quote.
Wait. I just feel like he's just trying not to piss off the intersection of Raiders Lakers fans.
No.
Let's do it with Bucks.
Serious.
Let's do it with the Bucks. Let's do it with the Bucks.
With the Bucks?
I'll put you at the Super Bowl as a fan, not working. As a fan, guaranteed Super Bowl this season, but never again in your lifetime.
See, so here, let me, before I answer the question, this is what I thought you guys were going to say. I thought you were going to say, okay, either the Bucks or the Lakers, you can only root for one, or one wins the championship and then the other never wins it again. That's how I thought you guys were going to approach it. And I still was going to say Lakers all day. That's fine because I cover football and I'm a horrible Bucks fan and don't get to watch their games anyway. So I was like, that's how I'd approach it. With the Bucks, I'll be honest, I'm going to take the same approach. I'm okay with not getting one and not being there for it, because also too, let's be honest, the viewing experience is better at home anyway. To be completely honest,
he's putting too much logic behind this. Damn it! I wanted to grill him.
I'm not an unreasonable fan. I want to have the opportunity to be able to win multiple, and I know our history as the Bucks in general is not amazing. Yes, I know we've won a couple, but I would pass up a guaranteed one next year for the opportunity to potentially win multiple over the rest of my lifetime and beyond.
Yes. All right, we're up against it, and I'm already over, but I have to ask you one more now. Okay, I'm guaranteeing you a Bucks Super Bowl this season, but you have to wear the creamsicle jerseys forever and eternity.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's
beautiful
because the ginger
jerseys.
who's already got plenty of orange in his complexion. That would look horrible, but I would 100%. I'll rock the creamsicle 24/7, 365 if we get a championship. Come on now.
Love that.
It was one way or another. You're either a big fan of the creamsicles or you hate them. Jesse Merrick, Silver and Black Sports Network. As always, entertaining, fun, analytical.
Who
Appreciate
hates
the time.
the Buccaneers jersey?
I have a couple Bucks fans that absolutely hate those creamsicle jerseys.
Jesse, what? Those are sweet. Those are the best.
Yeah. No, yeah. They're, I'll be honest, they're not my favorite, but I would totally rock them. Like, I still think they're sick. I like the white creamsicles better than the actual creamsicles, just because I think the way it pops on the helmet looks better. But, that's beside the point. But, yeah, the creamsicles are sick overall. I would not be mad about rocking that all the time.
Jesse, you're the man. We appreciate you. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Jesse Merrick, Silver and Black Sports Network. It's one way or another, Vin. I'm telling you, I know a lot of Bucks fans that hate those jerseys.
Yeah, no, I know.
If I found out that he hated them, I wonder if he would be willing to wear that. 702-365-9200. We'll get back to the Mount Rushmore talk, a little more Raiders talk. We're getting to our final two on the Mount Rushmore here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
It's a very, very, very lucky day for our organization, our city, and our fans worldwide. On behalf of Mary Lemieux and the entire ownership group, Pittsburgh Penguins select from Rimouski, the Quebec Major Junior League, Sidney Crosby.
Welcome back inside the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. We're talking to number one overall picks. Your Mount Rushmore of number one overall picks over the course of time and sports. We have gotten to our final two names on the Mount Rushmore for all three of us. Just a little recap. Vinny, we're doing Mount Rushmore plus one. So your plus one was Magic Johnson. Up on your Mount Rushmore, Peyton Manning at 4, Alex Ovechkin at 3. Who is your number 2?
My number 2 is LeBron James. And, when you think about, first of all, how long he's played, the level of excellence that he's maintained. I mean, he's coming off a pretty good year last year. Say what you want, but he still put up numbers last year. And who knows what would have happened had the Lakers stayed healthy. I don't think they win the NBA championship. Not saying that, but who knows? How much further they might have gotten in the playoffs. Remember, their best player was unavailable to him, Luka Doncic, in the playoffs. So. But you look at LeBron, Vince, and I was just recollecting as I was getting ready to talk about this. I remember having a conversation with Jerry West, and he told me literally, there's this kid in Ohio coming off his sophomore year in high school, and he literally said, I would draft him number 1 in every draft moving forward. And I want to say that, and Jerry loved Tim Duncan, but I want to say wasn't Tim Duncan a number 1 pick?
Correct.
Was it a year before or 2 years somewhere, right? I mean, he was. I'd have to go back and look to see when Tim Duncan was drafted, but there were some really, put it this way, there were some really good players that were coming out of 97. Okay, so it would have been a little bit later. That wouldn't have been quite the same time. But in those years where LeBron was a junior and senior in high school, there were some really good players. And Jerry West said, no, I would draft this guy like right now, number 1. And I say that only because the spotlight has been on LeBron from the get-go. He put high school basketball on the national TV map. Remember, there were games, and there still is, but there were high school games that he was involved in that were on ESPN, and that was never really a thing prior to that, right? So so he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was the chosen one. We're talking about in high school. And my question was always, obviously I see the talent. Are we setting this guy up for failure by putting so much onto his shoulders before he even steps foot in the NBA? I was genuinely concerned about that at that time. Well, anything but has happened. He has more than lived up to the hype. He went to Cleveland, guys, and think about where they were when he got there. Where he got them, they went to the NBA Finals, and they were perennial, Eastern Conference contenders toward the last, later stage of his first time in Cleveland, right? And Cleveland hadn't been anything. It's obvious they got the number 1 pick overall to get him. That's why they were so bad that they were in position to draft him first overall. And you go look at some of those rosters; they weren't the best rosters. I could assure you. Yet he helped get them to the finals, led them to the finals against, beating the Detroit Pistons, who I want to say were the defending champions that year. To get there, they ran into San Antonio. They lose. When he leaves, they fall off the face of the earth. Cleveland falls off the face of the earth, right? And then when he came back, he goes to Miami. They're winning 3 NBA championships. Then he comes back to Cleveland, who was dead in the water, and all of a sudden they're back to being an NBA finalist and an NBA champion and making some finals and playing in some great matchups against the Golden State Warriors. When he leaves again, they fall back down to nothingness again. So every time he was there in Cleveland, they were one of the best teams. Every time, immediately after he left, they were nothing. That's how good he was, as a player. That's what he was able to do for that organization. And we can go on and on about all the records that he has, the longevity, the NBA championships, the MVP awards, and he did it in a spotlight that not any athlete in the history of athletes has ever had to work under. This was he has bridged that gap between hype and then social media, phones. Like, there's never really been anything that you could ever point to off the court where you're like, wow, what a knucklehead move that was. You can argue about certain decisions that he made, but if that's really our only argument that you have against him, the person or the player. There's never been any shenanigans. There's never been any real controversy where, why, LeBron, why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? And in an age where people mess up, people make mistakes. This is the guy that's living under the biggest microscope of all, and he's just as clean as it possibly can be. So for all of those reasons, he hasn't, and it would have been, it was almost impossible, Vince, to live up to the hype, let alone exceed it. But I would venture to say that he's exceeded that hype, which is unbelievable when you think about what that hype really was. Yep, I agree, and I agree so much so that he's on my list, even though I haven't talked about it, which means we only have 2 lists, and he's not number 2 for me. There you go. Yes. Wow. Spoiler alert. My number 2 is in hockey, and it is Sidney Crosby. We've gotten a few texts already saying Mario Lemieux in terms of number 1 overall picks in hockey. But for me, you talk about expectations coming in. This is a kid, literally nicknamed the Kid, who was drafted to the Pittsburgh Penguins, the same organization as Mario Lemieux, and exceeded everything Mario Lemieux accomplished. He was named the captain because he was a foregone conclusion. He was probably named captain before he should have been named captain, but alas, there he was. 3-time Stanley Cup champion, Olympic gold medalist, one of 30 players of all time to be part of the Triple Gold Club, a world championship, an Olympic gold medal, and a Stanley Cup winner. He's won the Art Ross for scoring. He's won the Conn Smythe, which is playoff MVP, the Rocket Richard, most goals in a season. He has literally done it all. 12 trophies in totality, including leading his team to a Stanley Cup 3 separate times. When you talk about expectations, when you talk about longevity, he is still playing at the ripe old age of 37, and he says he has no plans on stopping for at least for a few more years. He continues to be one of the best players in the league, even at age 37. He just completed his 21st season where he averaged over a point per game. That is insane. Nobody's ever done that. 21 consecutive seasons over a point per game status. Sidney Crosby is, I feel very comfortable with him as my number 2. And I got him ahead of Peyton. And that just leaves one more for me. But Connor, where'd you go number 2?
Yeah, it looks like yours and I's list are going to end up being pretty similar here.
You got a great list then, Connor.
Seems like it. I did struggle a little bit with Sidney Crosby, as I did go back and forth with Alex Ovechkin. He didn't quite have the postseason success that Sidney had, or that some of these other guys, Mario Lemieux, had. But again, I like to go off guys that I've watched, guys that I've witnessed, and for me, Sidney Crosby had essentially been the greatest player in the NHL since I was born. I got to watch almost all of his career. He got drafted, I believe it was 2004, 2003, one of those years. And that's, for me, really when cognitive thinking gets going, right? I was born in 99. So as I start to think about these things and I start to think about my experience watching hockey, Sidney Crosby, to me, was always that legend, that standard to uphold. So I do believe that Sidney Crosby is one of those guys where Connor McDavid, though, I really enjoy watching as well right now. I think that he is, as far as the accolades go, he's taking care of all of the statistics. He is one of the best scorers, one of the best skaters in the NHL. I love what he has done international for the game. I believe that he's helped raise it for Team Canada. But at the end of the day, I do think that it was Sidney Crosby for me on my Mount Rushmore to take that slot, just because I've got to watch him throughout my lifetime. I got to see the greatness that he put out on the ice, and now you have other guys who are kind of chasing that greatness. And I think that, we talked a little bit about McDavid. There's going to be some other guys. Austin Matthews, I think, has a chance to be one of those next greats. Who knows what's in store for Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, guys like that. But I do believe that Sidney Crosby overall is going to be the standard everyone is chasing. As much as I love Ovechkin and the stats that he has, being the all-time leading scorer, passing up Wayne Gretzky, I think that's amazing. However, some of that postseason success lacking. I think that's what helps make a number one overall pick so valuable. The fact that they can win the big one for you.
Yeah, and he's done it multiple times, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing with McDavid is you could argue. Well, I don't even think it's an argument. I think Sidney Crosby said it, like McDavid is way better than even he was. The problem is he's gotten to the final twice.
And that's why I credit McDavid with like his ability to skate, his ability to get the net or the puck in the net. But like you said, you want to win those big games, and that's what I think you're investing when you take somebody number one.
And Vinny, this is why we're splitting hairs, right? Like, because to your point, these are team sports. This is it takes a lot of things to go right for you to not only meet your own expectations, but exceed them. You do need help along the way, whether that's a coach, whether that's a mentor. At the end of the day, when you're trying to pick up accolades and you're trying to win championships, it's also part of a team. Now, you're a big reason for why those are happening, but you need help. So that is the discernment that we are going through when we're splitting hairs on these all-time greats.
Yeah, and are we setting it up for number one right now, or are we?
We're going to do number one coming up after the break. We got a couple tickets. Let's do the tickets now. Give us a little more time to talk about our number ones after the break. Let's do Smash Mouth. Connor, let's give a pair of tickets to Smash Mouth. What caller would you like?
Let's do caller number 4. People have been hanging with us. We've been going over our 4 Mount Rushmore heads. Let's go with caller number 4.
Caller number 4, Smash Mouth. Pair of tickets could be yours to the Sahara Pool on the 4th of July. Celebrate America's birthday with Smash Mouth, courtesy of Raider Nation Radio 920. Tickets are here, ready to be picked up. All you got to do is call 702-365-9200. Be caller number 4, and they are yours here on the tailgate.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR920AM. Let's dig into the morning tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
With the first pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
Didn't hear any boos that time. LeBron James has heard a few boos since then. Welcome back inside the tailgate. Go ahead.
Speaking of number one picks overall, and obviously that train never stops, right? There's going to be one in baseball coming up here, I think next month, and on and on and on and on. I don't know if you caught this, but the Peyton Manning, we're talking about the Mannings. Their passing academy was last week. They do it every year, and they always invite the best quarterbacks in high school, and they're counseled by the best quarterbacks in college, right? So all of the top quarterbacks that we've been talking about for next year's 2027 draft were there, and they work out, and so it's a big thing for scouts go out and get a leg up on the college quarterbacks that are coming out, and then also the high school guys that are the next in line, right? I don't know if you caught this, but Todd McShay was there, and he on his podcast talked about who the best quarterback was, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, Vince, but Todd McShay is somebody that I really, really respect. I think he's on it, right? He's as good as it gets. And he said, by far, without question, and it wasn't even particularly close, and like I said, all the top quarterbacks were there from college football. Hands down, C.J. Carr from Notre Dame was the most impressive quarterback there, and I've been looking, searching the net, and he's not the only one that came out with that. Don't be surprised if that is who ends up being the number one pick over Arch Manning and some others. And I know that there's others that have, maybe a bigger name right now, Arch Manning being one of them, and there's, the Oregon quarterback. It really is a pretty studly class, and there's a lot of people in the NFL who feel that way. But C.J. Carr was turning heads there at that setting, and I want to say he's the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. But I keep seeing mock drafts that some of the people that are doing, I'm like, you better move that guy up. And there was a first round that I saw the other day where he wasn't even in. And I'm like, I wanted to text the guy or reach out to the writer and say, are you just assuming that he's going to go back to Notre Dame next year in 2028, or are you really saying that C.J. Carr is not going to be a first round pick, let alone the first pick overall? So just keep an eye on that. Yeah,
you Golden Domers might have. You saying big season? You saying big season for Notre Dame? Is that what I just heard?
I'll put it this way as well, and this is the first time, and I've been around a long time, all right? This is the first time in my lifetime that I can remember the kind of recruiting that they're doing. They right now have, by a lot of people, either the number one class for 2027 or the number two class for 2027. They're definitely top three. A lot of people had them as the top recruiting class last year. That has never happened at Notre Dame. I mean, you have to go all the way back to like Lou Holtz when they were putting together some really great recruiting classes, but the coaching staff and the operation now at Notre Dame are just, they're recruiting with the Alabamas and the Ohio States, and it's back to back classes. So I would be shocked if they didn't win a national championship within the next 3 years. Shocked. Woo. Honestly. Woo. And I've always been realistic. I've always said this: hey, for Notre Dame being the school, the academics, and some of the difficulties in recruiting against some of those teams down south and the SEC, and I've always said, like, hey, just put us in the mix, and if we win one, great. If not, like we were talking about a couple of days ago, I just enjoy the journey. And even if you get your butt kicked in the Sugar Bowl or whatever that was happening, okay, I get it. But hey, I'm slightly okay with that. Just give me 12 fun Saturdays, in the fall, and we're winning a bunch of games. I know there's reasons why they kind of fall short and have fallen short. Well, Marcus Freeman is saying, yeah, there's no reasons that should be the case, and is doing something about it. So it's going to be fun to watch how far he ends up taking it before going to the NFL, which he will go to the NFL.
All right, we got a jam-packed hour number 3.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good. We got a jam-packed hour number 3. Ryan McFadden of ESPN said to join us. Jason Fitz as well. We got to get to our number 1 on Mount Rushmore so we can talk about how great we are and your guys' lists are not good. So I'm going to start because my number 1 is LeBron James for all the reasons you just said. Pick a reason. All-time leading scorer, longevity, championships, defense, offense, pick a reason. I'm going to echo everything you said in the last segment. He's my number one, and a guy that had mountains of Mount Rushmores on his shoulders coming into the league to be the guy to change the hopes and fortunes of a franchise. I think he did it and then some, and he's continuing to do it. And the fact that he is the topic of conversation today about possibly going to Golden State to go win another one at the age of 41 is a testament to him. Whether you hate him or you love him, you have to respect what he's done. And as a number one overall pick, LeBron James for me. Connor, fair to say you echo the same?
Yeah, I used the preview there with the audio cut coming back. I'm going with LeBron James. I think from expectations to where he is now, he has met every single one of them. He has exceeded them. And the fact that he's done it all with a clean slate. You never have to worry about him off the court. You never have to worry about any shenanigans. He's been a role model citizen. So I think that for all things among what he's done on and off the court, he ranks up there for me.
Vinny, you're one.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is a guy who even was LeBron James before LeBron James. Anyone who was alive when he was a high schooler at Power Memorial High School can attest to that. Goes to UCLA. You weren't even allowed as freshmen to play at UCLA. His freshman team, they would play games against the varsity team, which was the national champion. They beat them. They were the only team to beat the national champion UCLA Bruins that year. He wins 3 straight national championships, sophomore, junior, senior year. Goes to the Milwaukee Bucks, number 1 overall. The Milwaukee Bucks were an expansion team the year before Kareem got there. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals his first year. They won the finals his second year. They went to the playoffs every year. The conference championships every year. That lost in the finals his last year. Goes to the Lakers. He ends up winning 6 championships. Longevity, excellence. Just to me, the epitome of what the number 1 pick is overall is all about. Changed the game, everything. So for me, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Hour number 3, we will talk about how my list is the best and everyone else falls to the wayside. Ryan McFadden joins us next here on The Tailgate.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
I'll just tell the Raider Nation that we have to earn your trust. We got to earn those seats in the stands by putting a great product on the field. Words will not do it. It's our actions.
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's hour number 3 here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the Silver and Black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore. Coming to you live from Las Vegas on the final day of June, Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. Raiders training camp gets going next month. Or as we would say tomorrow, this month. But it's not tomorrow. It's today. So we got to save that for tomorrow.
Close.
We're talking Mount Rushmores of number 1 overall picks. Across eras, across sports leagues. We have just completed our Mount Rushmores. We will react to our 4 plus ones. But before we do that, we have to welcome in our next guest, ESPN's own Ryan McFadden. And speaking of number 1 overall picks, Ryan, how are we feeling about our Wizards and their selection?
Man, I'm happy. This is like the happiest I've been as a Wizards fan for a while.
That sounded more like relief than happiness, yeah, Ryan.
It's a lot of emotions there. That's why best believe you will see me somewhere in the stands. I think it's July 9th between for their first summer league game. I think it's like 8. They're playing the Jazz. I will be there. But yeah, it's overall, I'm happy. I'm excited to see what we do, how we put the roster together moving forward. But like, there's a lot to be hopeful for in DC. The only thing now we need to rebrand and get our jerseys changed. So that's I'm hoping that happens within the next year or so.
What do you mean?
What are you rebranding to?
Yeah.
What would be your, because they are terrible uniforms, without a doubt. I wish they would go back to their Washington Bullet fits, but we know that that's not going to happen. Although I love it when they throw back to those days, Elvin Hayes and that crew. What would you do? How would you change it?
All right, so the 4-year-old in me who went to his first Wizards game at that time to see Michael Jordan play in the blue jerseys that we had,
yes, right,
that we had all the way till I believe John Wall's second year. So I think that's 2012, 2013. I will go back to those or some form of that, just because I get the whole red, white, and blue thing. Don't get me wrong, because. And I'm fine with it. Like, if they do it, just change. Like, I just don't like the whole little stripe look, especially when it's not the bullets. I get they're trying to look back and try to pay homage to that Bulls era with these jerseys. But to me, it just doesn't feel right that if you're going to these jerseys, you should have the name, but they don't have the name. I think the Wizards name fits those blue jerseys that they had. So if we can go back to those colors, I'll be all for it. But either way, even if they still stick to the red, white, and blue, just change the uniforms. They just got to get a little bit more creative and do something that kind of matches the name, the Wizards. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So you want more wizardry? You want more Harry Potter-esque look?
Yes.
You do.
Just even if it's going back to the Gilbert Arenas era jersey, they don't have to do much. Just, if you say, "Oh yeah, we're bringing these jerseys back," I'll be all for it. I just feel like that matches it just matches the Wizards it just matches that name more than anything.
You can't be. It's so funny that you should mention that because I don't remember any NBA champions or any champion of any sport wearing some just some non-serious uniforms, right? You gotta look the part, don't you?
Oh yeah.
All right, we got some. I'm sorry, Ron. We got some breaking news, and this is on brand, but we got some breaking news. According to Shams Charania, LeBron James will continue his NBA career in the 26-27 season and has informed the Lakers that the franchise can move on without him because he will play elsewhere.
Best thing for the Lakers.
Ryan, your immediate reaction beyond wow.
That is crazy. I'm not it just felt like all right. So there's two things. I think this is a good time for LA because now you're really ushering Luka Doncic as your new face of the franchise.
Sure. Thank you.
And I don't think for LeBron's sake, I don't think for him if he wants to play one last year or 2 more seasons, I don't think he will have a shot at winning a championship in LA. I think they will always be a team that's going to be, floating around 4, 5, or 6 in that 4, 5, 6 seed and get knocked out in the second round or maybe sniff at the Western Conference Finals. But if LeBron wants to win one more before walking away, I don't think the Lakers offers that best opportunity. So yeah, you had a feeling that this was going to lead to it, but when an announcement is like this, it actually happens, it's wow. That's you're oh, it really it's more of oh, it's really happening. But
let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this real quick. Because it's an interesting to me. It's interesting to figure this one out. Don't you think if the Lakers really wanted him, they would have made him whatever offer to keep him? I think this is the epitome of mutual ways, parting mutual ways. It's in everybody's best interest.
Yeah, 100%. I think if they wanted LeBron to stick around, I think this would have been we would have had some type of resolution in terms of what the future looks like with him moving forward already. I'm really interested in where he goes. I know a lot of people talk about him going back to Cleveland, which I can see that. Or does he go to Golden State?
It's got to be Golden State, right?
I don't know. Maybe does he go back to Cleveland and?
Well, doesn't Draymond opt out of the deal? Isn't that paving the way for the money and the tax and the bracket and all that stuff for him to get in there? Isn't that what that accomplished?
It wasn't. I don't know that was dependent on that, Vince. I think Draymond's probably want a little bit more money, basically. So I don't think that was. I don't think that was a hand-in-hand thing. I think they could have made it happen regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Because all those things are held on your books. Like that hold number is held on your books, so it's accounted for. When you see salary cap for the NBA, that number, it's like with the Lakers doing, signing Austin Reeves back. It hasn't officially hit the books yet. His hold number has always been held, against that salary cap. But they can make move. They're still $51 million under the cap, even with the looming contract that Austin's about ready to sign.
What happens to Bronny?
I would think that Bronny. I would think that if I'm Bronny, I'm okay with this too. It's time for him to go be his own dude, and I think the Lakers have his rights right now. I don't think that's in question. So I would love to sit down with Bronny to say, hey, it's great playing with your dad, but I would imagine that he wants to go do his own thing as well, and maybe it's with the Lakers or someplace else. I don't know, but don't you think that he would kind of be okay with that at this point? I know I would if my dad was always around.
Ryan's still stunned in silence.
My bad. I think you guys are breaking in and out.
Sorry, we're reacting to LeBron and Bron. Let's transition while we have you, because we've gone super NBA heavy. Training camp is next month or tomorrow. It will be later this month. I'm going to steal Vinny's question that he asked earlier. If you had your druthers and got to pick a position group that we got a front row view in during training camp at practice for our own viewing, what would that be and why?
Like front row viewing in terms of
position groups, DBs, offensive line, D tackle, linebackers.
I'm probably going to go with. Because there's so many. Because I would like to say DBs. I like to say quarterback because I think that's the most obvious answer here, given the state of the Raiders quarterback situation. But I'm going to go something different. I'm going to go DBs, because like I said, that's a very young group, and I think that's a very wide open battle at the moment. Especially if you bring in Jamal McCoy back in the fold, and Clint Kubiak is very high on him and believes he'd be ready to go when they're ready to strap on the pads in August. So with that being said, if they believe he can be a contributor year one, how much does he compete for a starter role with Darian Porter? So if I had to that's why I would like to say DBs in terms of for that question.
What about the offensive line? I've been kind of pounding the table that the Raiders need to very quickly figure out who their starting five is and get them out there and reps together, and a whole bunch of them in training camp. I think that's kind of held the Raiders back the last couple of years of their offensive line. Too much tinkering during training camp and in the preseason. What do you say?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to get that figured out right away. And honestly, I think by that first preseason game, I think we'll have an idea who that starting offensive line is going to be. I think my prediction is going to end up being what we've seen so far during the all-season program with Colton Miller, Spencer Buford, Tyler Linderbaum, JPJ, and DJ Glaze. I think that's going to be the week one line. I still think Kalen Rogers has the potential to make some noise, but at the end of the day, I think that's going to be the line that's going to be set in stone, barring any injuries. That's just my prediction, and I think they're going to figure that out. I think they're going to figure it out pretty quickly. I don't think this is going to drag on. I think by our first preseason game, I think we have an idea who their starting offensive line is going to be.
Ryan McFadden of ESPN, join us. Follow him on the X at Ryan McFadden _. Ryan, I don't know how tangible of an answer we're actually going to get, even by the end of it. But all last year, the talk or the frustration was, why isn't Tom Brady in the building? Why isn't he here every single day? And whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, what do you think is going to be Brady's impact on Fernando Mendoza? In terms of, if you want to put a percentage on it compared to his coaches or Kirk Cousins, what kind of percentage impact do you think Brady will have on Fernando? Can you even measure it?
I look at it when it comes to like Tom Brady. I think it's going to be what they've hinted towards or talked about in previous conversations. Or I think it's going to be more of a mentorship role. I think this is someone that Brady is going to be there. Whether it's over a phone call or whenever he is in a facility or a practice, that's going to give him as much corners and help and guidance as possible. So I think it's not going to be something where it's going to be publicly seen. I don't think Tom Brady, from what we've seen so far, he doesn't roll like that. But I think he's going to be someone that's going to look over Fernando, someone who's going to give him as much guidance and advice as possible, even if he's not in the building 24/7. I think he's still going to be in his ear trying to help Fernando as much as he can. And, that's what you need. I think when you're bringing in someone like Fernando Mendoza, who's the first overall pick, someone you're investing a lot in for the foreseeable future, you want as many people in his ear as possible. And I think, from Brady to, Clint, Andy Janoko, all the guys in the building, I think he has and Kirk Cousins himself, I think he has a good support staff that's going to help him move forward. I think Tom Brady's going to play a big role in that as well.
Do you think we're going to see more of him in training camp, though?
Tom, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. I think we're probably going to see a little bit more Tom Brady at training camp, and I could be wrong, but I'm not. Just my prediction here. I think we are. I think just given what they have at the first overall pick, and we're going to. He's getting more comfortable in this whole thing, trying to help run the football side of things with General Manager John Spivak. So with that being said, I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more and more of him. And I think we're going to see that in training camp as well.
It's Ryan McFadden of ESPN joining us here. Ryan, how many? Let's ask it this way: of the rookie class from this past draft, how many by season's end will have massive impact on this season for the Raiders?
Oh, by the season out of this draft class, so I'm going to go. I think Fernando's going to be one. I think Mike Washington. So we're at 2 right now. I think Jamal McCoy. So we're at 3. So I'm gonna go 4, and because I think. I'm going to go with 4. I think we're going to have 4. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be one. Is one guy I think is going to have some form of impact, and it might not be right away, but at some point in the season we're going to see him. I think Mike Washington is going to have a form of a solid 1-2 punch with Ashton Genty. Even though they want Genty to take the majority of the work, but I think when Mike Washington's number is called, I think he has the potential to make some noise. Malik Benson's another guy that I thought played pretty well in OTAs and minicamp, and maybe that can lead to something as we get into training camp, and he can develop himself into have a significant role, whether it's on special teams as a returner or even in the receiving, making explosive plays in the passing game. And then, like I said, I have a lot of faith in Jamal McCoy. I think if he's able to get on that field, I think he has a chance to, show people why he was considered a top 15 pick before falling in the draft. So I think just ballparking up the spot is right now. I think it's going to be 4, and just how this roster is shaped, I think they're going to need that many rookies, even more, to step up just for them to have to be competitive.
And that 4th being Stooks.
Yes.
Okay.
And 4. I think 4, and you can actually put. I would say you can actually make in addition to Stooks, I think you can even make 5. Only thing is, I would like to say Trey Zoom, but only thing with Trey, I think if your offensive line is healthy throughout the remainder of the season, and I think you're just going to see those same guys. So So he might have I think guys Malik, Stooks, McCoy, Mendoza, I think they have a better chance of having more extended playing time at the moment, just given the fact that if the Raiders' offensive line stays where it stands right now, that it's going to be a process before it's going to take some time before we see Zune out there. But I think like you said, Trayden, Malik, Mike, Fernando. Jamal. Those are the guys off the top of my head who I think has a really good shot at making some impact their rookie year.
All right. This is Ryan McFadden of ESPN. Follow him on the X at Ryan McFadden _Ryan. Thanks for helping us break some news on LeBron today. Celebrate the number 1 overall pick in the district, and we'll work on getting those new jerseys and branding out in D.C. for you.
Man, I'm hoping.
All right, we'll do it again next week. Ryan McFadden, appreciate you. Training camp just around the corner. All right, it is time for our Summer of Fun. There's a lot happening, apparently, here on the last day of June. The Raider Nation Radio 920 bringing back the Summer of Fun. Raider Nation Radio 920 and Terribles celebrating America 250. You're getting a chance for a bit of an escape. Get to some places, have some great adventures. Hawaii, the Grand Canyon, Sedona, Yellowstone National Park, Southern California, theme parks, Mississippi River Cruise, staycation, or you can just take the cash, $3,000 in total. It is your choice. You got to text in the keyword of the day, 702-365-9200. You only can do that. You got to get in and win, because summers are meant to be fun. The Summer of Fun brought to you by Terribles, Raider Nation Radio 920. This week's trip, as we are talking Mount Rushmores of number 1 overall pick, we're trying to send you to the home of Mount Rushmore, South Dakota. It is a 4-night stay in South Dakota. All you got to do is text in the keyword of the day. The keyword of the day is
white. We did red yesterday. Today is white.
Today is white. WHITE. Why am I spelling that, Connor? Because we get a lot of rapscallions.
I bet.
A lot of Weisenheimers that try and spell it not correctly, and they don't get entered to win. So the joke's on them. No Weisenheimers today. Text in the word white to 702-365-9200. You are entered for a chance to win a trip, a summer of fun to South Dakota, right here on Raider Nation Radio 920, the morning tailgate. Coming up next, Jason Fitz of Yahoo Sports set to join us. We'll talk more Mount Rushmores, get his reaction to LeBron leaving La La Land, and more here on the tailgate.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the morning tailgate.
Okay, we're ready to go then with the first round. The first selection goes to Seattle.
Seattle selects number 1154, Fuller High School, Cincinnati, Ohio, George Kenneth Griffey, center field.
Seattle selection is George Kenneth Griffey, center fielder from Moeller High School in Ohio.
We need that music. What was that? What was that music?
Little MLB Volt there, right there.
Oh my goodness! That was very pleasing to the ears.
So when they do it, that's when they were doing it on intercom.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like.
Mike Socha told me he found out he got drafted by the Dodgers because in the mail, like 2 days later, like they sent him. Like I didn't know. You know, my dad. I come home from school. Hey, the Dodgers drafted you in like the 33rd round or whatever it was. So yeah, a little different time back then.
We got to get the Wiz back. I love his draft day story of how he finds out. Matt Millen's got a great draft day story. Anyways, speaking of pleasing to the ear, time to welcome in our next guest, Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports Grammy Award winner, friend of the program, IFL broadcaster, Julian. You know he's on. What's up, Fitzy? You know,
I'm living the dream.
On the last day of June. Well, I mean, on the last day of June, you know, when there's nothing to talk about, LeBron James just decides to say, you know what, deuces, LA. I'm going to keep the home. You can keep Bronny for now, but I'm moving on. Your reaction to LeBron James continuing his illustrious career elsewhere?
I'm a little surprised, honestly. I am. And I'll tell you the reason I'm surprised is because wherever he goes next, he's going to have to sign for the mid-level exception, which is fine. This is where everybody says LeBron's made more money than God, so who cares? But my answer to that is that was still the same case a year ago. So I'm surprised that this year he decides it's the year to leap when, frankly, if he was truly most interested in the championship and didn't care about what he was going to get paid, he could have played for the MLE and gone to, let's say, Cleveland last year. So where he's going to go next, I see all the reports on Golden State, and I know Cavs fans love it, and Miami fans are all talking about it. It's interesting, but I guess I even asked through that process, okay, so if we put the Golden State Warriors together, how many games do we think that actually results in for them? Like, it's interesting. Does it make them better than OKC or San Antonio? No, but it's interesting. So kudos to him. He wants to play with his buddies, I guess. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, I think it's good for both sides. I think it's time for the Lakers to move on with Luka as the centerpiece, build around him, find players that fit him, and let LeBron do his thing, end his career however he wants, wherever he wants. And as a Laker fan, I'll always thank him because people forget where the Lakers were when he decided I'll go over there and try to get that thing turned around. There were a lot of star players that were very reluctant to go follow in Kobe's footsteps and all that pressure. LeBron says, I'll do it, and they ended up winning a championship. So thank you for that, LeBron, and it's time to move on with Luka. And, Jason, we're having this fun conversation today. We're doing our all-time top 4, top 5 first picks of all time in any draft, right? And Peyton Manning and Kareem and Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, Fernando Mendoza can one day be one of those types of players. We will see how that will turn out. But we were talking about Peyton. He was on all of our, top 5 lists. Top 4 list, Peyton Manning being the number 1 pick when he was and having the career that he had. You go back and look at Peyton Manning, and he set records for the wrong reasons that rookie year. The Colts were a terrible football team. It was a lot of hard knocks, as we say, for Peyton Manning. Yet he didn't break. He wasn't, they didn't crush him. He survived, and he was probably better off for all of those experiences. I'm going to ask you this, and I've asked previous guests this today. Why are we so afraid that you throw Fernando Mendoza into the fire and it's only going to result in breaking him? Why not be confident about it and his maturity and his level of understanding and some of the past things that have happened to him at Cal and then the learning experience that he had in Indiana and say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about him breaking. I don't think he's going to break. And whatever happens in his rookie year, the good moments and the bad, he's going to be fine for it and be better off for it. Let's get going with that. Forget about wins and this and that. Let's go get this young quarterback developed and not be afraid to put him into games, even if there's bad things that might happen that first year.
Yeah, and look, I think you're spot on play him. I think the way he's going to get better. The hardest thing about playing guys too early, and I'll only speak to when I've talked to smart guys around the league over the last few years about what this all means. The biggest thing is, processing speed. We've talked a lot about that. And then bad habits, right? So the question is, does it enforce more of the things that you need to work on? Like when you are in crisis mode, you go back to what you know. So if you're working on footwork and making sure that you're doing things the right way, for example, in that when things break down in front of you, do you maintain your cool, calm presence in that? Or do you panic and go back to revert to bad habits? What we saw Caleb Williams first year was a lot of the same bad habits that were sort of in there in his college career were rearing their ugly head in his pro career. Then he got much better coaching, and it's amazing he got right through that. So I think if the offensive line is playing well in front of him and he's not having to speed up his process too much, I love the idea of playing him. I don't worry about the picks. I don't worry about reading the field. I think not having a lot of experience under center, the only way you're really going to get that experience under center is if you get that experience under center, right? So, this became which came first, the chicken or the egg. I love the idea of practice being so intense in the NFL that he can get that way. But we all know it's not, right? So we all know that the speed of practice and the way it runs is going to be differently. He's going to have to learn how to see the field while he's dropping back, and I think that takes reps. So
and getting hit, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's identifying where the hit's coming from. Also, when you're dropping back, you are more exposed to just getting hammered from the blind side, right? We all know that. So I think learning to get through that, there's a fine line. If the offensive line isn't putting him out there in a way that he's just running for dear life and getting murdered out of the outset, then I love the idea of playing him. I've said this to you before. I'll say it squarely on the record. I don't give a damn how many games the Raiders win this year. The only thing I care about is, does Fernando Mendoza get better? And I agree with you that at some point, the only way he's really going to get better is to play. I just want to make sure that while he's playing, he's not enforcing bad habits.
It's Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. So let me ask you this. What will you be caring about in a big way for training camp?
I think continuity and learning the offense trying to find what the communication looks like. You know, I'm not comparing the NFL to the IFL at all. But one thing that I've gotten to learn by talking to so many coaches around the IFL is every time one piece changes, the amount of communication changes that it creates defensively, particularly in the indoor football league, is kind of wild. So when I sit there and talk to players every week and talk to them on the field before the game, everybody keeps telling me like they're learning through a fire hose. If I've heard that once, I've heard it 1,000 times. That they're just learning through a fire hose of information. I think the most important thing in training camp is how quickly can guys process information. We hear coaches say, I want somebody that lives, eats, and breathes football. I think you also have to remember that you need somebody that's football smart. Like Fernando Mendoza is football smart. He's going to pick this up because he's football smart. There's a difference between street smart and book smart. There's a difference between street smart, book smart, and football smart. This team, we're going to find out quick, I think, what they are capable of, because how are they communicating on the back end of defense? How's the offensive line communicating? How are they learning Kubiak's system? Communication is sort of everything to me, and keeping Fernando a part of that communication is also a big deal.
I know it's only potential, but I can't tell you how excited people were in the Raiders building about the additions that they made in the secondary during draft weekend. You know, Traden Stukes, obviously, Jamad McCoy, Zeke Massis, Johnson, the other safety from Arizona. They felt like they added not just youth and not just potential, but genuine talent, and in some cases, difference-making talent. From your recollection, being a Raider fan for as long as you have, and again, I know that it's just potential, but it feels like it's been a long while since you had this kind of potential, this kind of real potential in your secondary, youth. And you want to throw Darian Porter in there? Be my guest, absolutely. So genuinely, how curious, excited, intrigued are you by the additions that they made, the young additions that they made in the secondary?
I think it's the fact that they are young additions that really makes this the most exciting, Vinny, because to me, this is step one of a multi-step process. But my God, you're talking about like Traden Stukes, by the way. If he's not on the all-rookie team, I'll be disappointed. I think that's how highly I think of his potential. I think that he has a shot day one to be a impact difference-making starter. He has a shot to be a ball hawk. They've got guys that are hawks, right, that they can really move back there. So I love the possibility of young guys growing together too. So I think there's a real excitement to the unknown on this, because you're not asking a bunch of guys to learn different systems and to play different ways that are walking. And I say this fairly and not judgmentally. When you've played a lot of football for a lot of teams, you come in and you kind of know what works and what doesn't work. And so sometimes the hardest part for a defense coordinator, even one that's been with the team for a few years, is to convince all the new guys in the room, hey, trust me, my system will work. Because certainly when I talk to guys that played in the league, it doesn't take much for them to roll their eyes when they hear something that they just don't think will work. When you got young guys coming in, I think you have a much better opportunity for guys to buy in. I think you have a much better opportunities for guys to walk in with an open mind. And I think when you got everybody working together to learn to communicate through a defense, I think you have the better opportunity for guys to grow at the same pace, which makes for a better defense. I think it's probably pretty reasonable. I've said this to you before, but remembering the struggles of Namdi early in his career, remembering the struggles of Woodson in his first game against Kansas City, we all remember that. And it's like, oh God, everybody's panicking. Like, I'm not going to panic over miscommunication in this secondary. I think there's a rare combination of speed in this secondary and catch-up speed, right? Like, they're going to be able to make up for some of the mistakes that happen early because they have game speed. I think this is a real opportunity to be exciting. And by week 8, 9, this secondary, if they stay healthy, I think can be a real strength of this football team.
It's Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. All right, Fitzy, let's have some fun. We did this exercise last week, much to the chagrin of Raider Nation and kind of fans elsewhere. So I want you to put your fan hat on for a second. Not in the business, Jason Fitz. Okay? Here we go. I can guarantee you a Raiders Super Bowl victory this season. And you're there for the Super Bowl as a fan. This season, Fernando at the helm.
Careful.
I'm guaranteeing it for Fitz right now.
Careful.
However.
There is a however. It's a massive one.
You will not see another one in your lifetime.
And you know that.
And you are aware of it. You are consciously making it known that this season will be your season, and knowing for the rest of your time, which is going to be a long time on this earth, you will not see another one. Are you taking the deal?
I'm not even blinking. I'm running to the podium and taking the deal. Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. Jason, you've got Fernando Mendoza, the first pick overall. There's there's the potential for multiple Super Bowls. That's what you draft a quarterback number 1 overall. How could you possibly trade one for no more ever again? Just when it's getting started.
Because Joe Burrow is an incredible quarterback, and Josh Allen is an incredible quarterback, and I think Lamar Jackson is an incredible quarterback. And how many Super Bowls combined, how many appearances do they have? Winning the Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl is such a luck proposition in so many ways. So many things have to break right for you that for me, in my lifetime, the last time the Raiders were in a Super Bowl was 1983. That they won a Super Bowl, I should say, was 1983. I'm not really old enough to remember that one. My only Super Bowl memory is just a drastically terrible party at my house against Tampa Bay. If I know that this year
I was at a party that day too.
Yeah, I mean, if I know that this year is the Super Bowl, I soak in every single week. I treat it all differently. I cry the same at the end of the game, but I sit in the stadium for an extra hour and I just soak it in. Now, here's the twist on it. I'm going to twist your own question.
I have a twist of a question next. Yes.
Okay. My only twist is, if you ask me today, you have to see the Raiders. You're going to see the Raiders win a Super Bowl today, but you're not going to see another meaningful Raiders season for the next 20 years. I'm not taking that deal. I remember when the Raiders lost the Super Bowl, I looked at one of my buddies and I said, as a fan, I'd rather not even be good than deal with the Tuck rule, the Super Bowl loss, the Siragusa hit. I'd rather not even be good than have my heart broken this way every single year. And then we went through double-digit years with double-digit losses and no hope constantly. I want a football team that gives me hope. And hope comes from feeling good on Sundays. And I know that we live in a society that makes absolutely everything about championships. If you don't win championships, you must suck. But I've lived through so many 3-win, 4-win, 5-win seasons. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. It just hurts too much for your team to suck in mid-October and for you to have to avoid all the radio shows and TV shows because you know you're just going to be mocked. I'd rather be a Bills fan today than a Raiders fan any day of the week when it comes to just watching my team constantly win. And I know it hurts to lose close to the Super Bowl. But in my mind, after what I've seen in my lifetime, I can't survive another 20 years of double-digit losses. So if the choice is Super Bowl or suck for the next 20 years, I'm not taking that deal. I'll take the chance that Fernando Mendoza is going to make this team competitive every single year. But if it's Super Bowl and never win another Super Bowl again, I'll take the trophy. Thank you.
That was beautifully said, and it actually did kind of was what I was getting ready to ask, because my question to you had been, so they win the Super Bowl this year, then fast forward to this time next year and we're having this conversation, I would venture to say that Jason Fitz would be going, what the hell did I do? Why did I make that deal, knowing that I'm never going to be able to experience that again? That was it. You're never going to. Because I would think that if you actually sat and thought about it and fast forwarded to next year, going, so I'd be going into next year, no chance of the Super Bowl. That would suck. Even though it was great to experience that one Super Bowl that you did. So I don't know. It's such a tough one when you think about it.
Well, Fitzy, so this is, I'll tell you, this extrapolated in a big way our conversation. The initial conversation, the epicenter, if you will, and we'll end on this one because we're already up against it. That's kind of the theme of the day. Would you rather, okay, this is the other part, because you said it's either championship or bust. We're not talking championships now, okay? Ready? This season, I will guarantee you 9 wins and meaningful games in Week 18 for a possible postseason. 9 wins with Kirk Cousins as your starter. Or, not knowing how the season's going to play out, the mystery box with Fernando being the starter. Which one are you taking?
In other words, Fernando doesn't play in the 9-win situation.
Yeah, no Fernando in the guaranteed 9 wins, or no Kirk Cousins in the other scenario, all Fernando, but you don't know what you get. What are you taking?
another no-brainer for me. I'm taking the 9 wins in Kirk, and I'm taking the 9 wins in Kirk because I believe if you're telling me that this happened, then what you're telling me is that what I think was the best hire of the offseason, Kubiak, has spent a full year hanging out and getting every ounce of Fernando Mendoza prep that you need. And, the funny thing is I've talked to guys that were on the practice field for the Kansas City Chiefs in Patrick Mahomes' rookie year, where they were frustrated by the fact that Mahomes was lighting it up in practice, and everybody knew they knew they had something special. And Andy Reid said, I don't give a damn, and didn't play him until the very end of the season. It didn't matter, right? I mean, there is a point to me where we have to remind everybody that Patrick Mahomes didn't play a single snap his rookie year. Now, I don't think that's a requirement for Fernando, but if the Raiders are winning 9 games with Kirk Cousins starting, to me, it's not just about Kirk. That means that the Raiders organization is going slow and low with the development of Fernando. If he doesn't play a single down this year, I still think he's going to be epic next year. So come on, give me the 9 wins, and the whole time I'm going to be gloating because I'm going to say, look at what we've done, and we don't even have our quarterback in yet. Come on.
How do we know that the Chiefs didn't shortchange themselves a Super Bowl or an AFC Championship game appearance by not playing Patrick Mahomes that first year?
You are right about that, Vinny. That's the undertold question in that story. You are 1,000% right. Because Alex Smith, Alex Smith was a quarterback that went through an entire season and never had a touchdown pass to a wide receiver. So, yeah, I think you might be onto something there. You might be onto something.
Jason Fitz.
Because we don't. You can't tell me yes or no to that question. And who knows? They got to the conference championship game his quote unquote rookie year, his second year. Who's to say that they wouldn't have done that first year? And that was the year that. Wasn't that the year that? Was that the year that? No, that wasn't the year that. Yeah, maybe it was where the New England Patriots barely beat the Chiefs in the championship game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right. Like. You're right that I want the Super Bowl. I want the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I'll take a measured approach at least for now.
I hear you.
Fitz, you're the man. Appreciate you. Love you. Be well.
Have a great week.
We'll do it again next week. That's Jason Fitz.
Telling you, Vince, man. Everyone says, they bannered it. Who's to say? He came in gangbusters day one and was good in that last game of that regular season.
Only because he sat for so long. He was over-ripened.
That is garbage, right? Like, you cannot tell me that they wouldn't have been even better in the playoffs that year with Patrick Mahomes compared to Alex Smith. There's no way that you can tell me for sure that is the only reason that he became good, and you can't tell me for sure that they didn't actually shortchange themselves by not getting the superior player on the field that rookie year.
Hey, guess what? It's time. More tickets to give away.
Woohoo! That's the first time I've ever said that.
Guess what? It's going to become a drop. Connor's about to clip that.
Maybe.
It's about to be a drop.
The first time that I knew I was a dad was when I threw up my son in the air. I go, whoopsie daisy. And I was like, I've never said whoopsie daisy in my life.
Connor.
And I will never, ever do it again. But
we need that woohoo. We need that isolated. And we need that at the ready always, moving forward. From tomorrow on. That woohoo was the least emphatic woohoo of all time, yet it did the jump.
I didn't want to take your shine, man. It was your time.
NBA Summer League is headed back to Vegas July 9th through the 19th at Thomas Mack in the Pavilion, featuring very exciting rookie classes and some young up-and-coming players across the league. Affordable family fun you don't want to miss. We've got a pair of tickets to NBA Summer League 2026 from your friends right here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Be caller number
3. Be on your toes.
Caller number 3. Be on your toes. 702-365-9200. Call. Those tickets are yours.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR920AM. Let's dig into the morning tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920. This is the morning tailgate.
Oh, Paisan. Oh! Back up. I'll talk to him about it. I've been telling you for months now this guy's no good. I want to sit down. All right. Answer the phone. I want to sit down.
Hey! On Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's the final sit down here on the morning tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Big thanks to our guests on today's program, Jesse Merrick, the Silver and Black Sports Network, Ryan McFadden of ESPN, and as you just heard, Jason Fitz of Yahoo Sports. as well as you. Raider Nation, as always, part of the conversation here, there, and everywhere. And thanks for letting us have a little fun with our Mount Rushmore of number 1 overall picks. So to recap the number 1 overall picks, Vinny, your Mount Rushmore +1 was?
We went, was it Magic Johnson? Was it Peyton Manning, Alex, I've always forgotten. Ovechkin, LeBron James, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Connor?
I had, on my 5th was going to be Shaquille O'Neal. At 4, we had, it was Ken Griffey Jr. Then we had Peyton Manning at 3, Sidney Crosby at 2, and it was LeBron James at 1.
Ah, there it was. Yeah, I went from 1 to 5. I went LeBron, Crosby, Peyton, Magic was my 4. I feel real strong about that mountain.
Guys, it's the summer of fun, right?
It is the summer of fun.
You want to continue it one more day? Well, no, I mean, obviously we're going to continue it many, many more days.
We are. Are we on the same wavelength? Another Mount Rushmore?
No. Well, kind of, yes. Yeah. This is my thinking cap. This is where I'm going with it, but we can save it for another day, whatever. I'm curious what your idea is. But it got me thinking. I'm watching the World Cup, and there's been some great moments, right, in the World Cup. Mm-hmm. We saw some great moments in the NBA Finals. Clearly, the tip from God right there to save the Knicks in that game, that they were going to lose, and, on and on and on. What I was wondering is, and we would open this to our callers and listeners and all that, the top 5 sports moments that you have seen live. Top 5 just moments that you were in the stadium and got to experience throughout your lifetime. And I'm sure there's some Raider fans out there that have been to a whole bunch of sports events that have seen some pretty darn special things.
Okay, there it is.
There's the homework, right?
You got more homework, man. Summer school.
Just close your eyes and use the imagination. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, should we do maybe the impossible ask, the Mount Rushmore of the Raiders? Maybe we save that for Thursday.
Let's
save that for Thursday. Mount Rushmore of Raiders, because that's going to cause some drama. Yes. But until then, top 5 sports moment. That's your homework for tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay with the flagship for the Silver and Black. JT Brick from 12 to 2. We're back tomorrow. Have a great day.